President, please be seated. The court is now back in session. Next, the Supreme Court chamber will put the question to the General Guardian of Ms. Ieng Thirit, that is Ms. Ieng Wechda. Ms. Ieng Wechda, do you reside with or close by to Ieng Thirit? Response: Yes, that is correct, Your Honor. I reside with her. Question: Do you live in the same house with Ms. Ieng Thirit? Response: I do. I go back and forth visiting her. Question: How many times a week would you have contact with Ieng Thirit? Response: I stay close to her around 3 times per week. Question: What types of activities do you currently assist Ieng Thirit with? Response: I assist her in all ways, including during mealtime, treatment, and follow up her health condition, and ask her and encourage her to do some physical activities. Question: As for yourself, has you traveled away from your current residence? For example, have you traveled to the countryside or overseas? Response: I, of course, go to the province, the place where I have to work, but I have never been abroad. The President: Thank you. Thank you, Madam Ieng Wechda, and I would like to hand over to judges of the bench. If you have any question to put to her, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Madam Wechida, we don't want to put you in any position of the conflict of conscience between in considering assisting your mother and at the same time as a guardian being faced with the court orders or requests upon your mother. It, however, appears there is a consistent position of the trial chamber, the co-prosecutors, the position also expressed in the provisional order of the president of this chamber, that that the court may need the presence of your mother in the future, and there is a question of making her available to the court if this becomes necessary. So we are wondering whether you would be ready to assist your mother to respond to summons of the court if such were issued?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Do you foresee an occasion why the accused would need to go abroad?
No, I don't think so, because she is in her advanced age now, and she has difficult moving around even to a closer place, let alone going that far.
As far as you were, is that correct, what your mother told us before, that she has friends abroad who protect her and take care of her? Or was it just the figure of speech?
I think it was a mere speech by her.
So you do not confirm that there are friends of the accused abroad with whom she remains in a close contact and who would be ready to harbor her if she wanted to flee the jurisdiction?
Response: yes.
Do you foresee any reason why would the accused, your mother, need to change address, either permanently or temporarily?
She may need to change the address so long as there is a real need for that. For example, if she get really tired and bored with the place where she is currently residing, so she may want to move to a different place.
I understand. Would it be a problem for you to inform the court about this change of address?
I think that there will be some complication in relation to the paperwork or documentation, so I do not very much foresee the change of address, because we are all very busy. We cannot assist that much with the paperwork or documentation also.
I'm not sure if we understand each other properly. I was asking whether you would have problems informing the court about the change of address of your mother.
If there is a change, I don't have any problem at all informing the court as such.
Yes, this is what I was asking about. Another question is about the need for the identification card of your mother. We understand at present it is being withheld by the court. How do you go about without the identification card of your mother?
Currently, we do not envisage any need for the identification card, so there is no problem at all when the court withheld her card.
I understand there was no practical problem, but hypothetically, because we internationals, even though we try very hard, we are not very well familiar with the conditions of daily life of the Cambodians. can you foresee any occasion on which the identification card would be immediately necessary for your mother?
According to the situation in Cambodia, and due to her advancing age as well, I don't think that there is any need for the identification card. So I don't foresee this as an important thing, and we may not need it.
How about access to healthcare? Is it not necessary to have an identification card produced?
Due to the fact that she is now still involved with this court, so in relation to her access, I have contacted with the treating doctors who were assigned to take care of her. Those doctors have never asked for the identification card from her, and those were the doctors whom we have contacted.
Suppose that there is a need to change doctors, or just tell me in general terms, if you yourself or any other Cambodian goes to the hospital, isn't it necessary to show the identification card? From what you know?
Response. In general, in Cambodia, when someone needs medical service, we do not think ID card is necessary for a person to be admitted to a hospital anyway.
Or if her friends from France will send her a parcel or some medicine, for example, or some nice present, will it be through registered mail? Will it be possible to claim it without an identification card?
Response. It would need an ID card for that purpose, indeed. However, there is no foreign friend who is or who sends her any gift or present or medicine.
And when it comes to managing the estate of your mother, in order to enter into legal relations concerning her property, you do not need her identification document?
Response. There is very little property left over from my mother, so we do not have any problem with this. And in some circumstances, we do not need such identification card.
Do I then infer correctly that even less necessity is there for you to keep possession of her passport?
Response. As required by the court, she shall not carry with her any identification card or passport, so we are in the hands of the court.
Yes, this was the provisional order by Mr. President, with the understanding that this court will consider the foundation and necessity of the prosecutor's request for these conditions. So the question is, do you think that the passport will be needed for any reason? I understand from what you've said to this court already that you do not foresee any traveling abroad. any other use of the passport.
Response. No, I don't think a passport will be needed anyway.
Thank you very much. These were my questions.
Question. Mrs. Ieng Wichita, the court is considering to require your mother undergoing periodic medical evaluations to assess any development of her mental condition. You said that your mother is still on medication. My question to you is your mother currently under medical care, and does she continue to receive any sort of treatments? Response. Currently, she still receives treatment in accordance with the prescription as ordered. Question. Do you foresee any issue with the court requiring Ieng Thirit to undergo medical examinations for the purposes of ascertaining of her cognitive capacity? Response. I don't know. Currently, her mental status is not stable. It remains fluctuating, and sometimes we need to bring her to the hospital for treatment. So it depends on her condition, and I am not in the position to be able to say much about this. Question. Do you understand, as a guardian, that you will have the obligation to assist your mother in attending medical evaluations if the court orders this to take place? Response. I have no expertise in psychology, and my expertise is in general aspect, so I can't say exactly in more detail about this. Judge, thank you. I have a few questions to you, as you already been informed that in the prosecutor's submission there is a request that your mother shall refrain from communicating with witnesses or victims. So far as her daughter and currently her guardian, are you sure that your mother have no connection or no relation or communication with other co-accused persons? Response. My mother is mentally challenged, and she doesn't know everyone very clearly, let alone communicating with them. Question. Has she ever expressed that she missed anyone of the co-accused person? Response. That doesn't happen. Question. With regard to the witnesses in case file 002, as an accused person, has Ieng Thirit ever talked to you whether she has any resentment toward any of the co-accused person? Response. No. Question. As a guardian, as you already been informed, you are supposed to assist your mother to make sure that she refrains from communicating with the co-accused or victims or witnesses except her husband. Do you think you can do this and fully understand this? Response. Yes, I do, and I fully understand this order and instruction, Your Honors. Judge Momanicharya, I have no further questions, Mr. President.
One more question I was asked to ask. If it was, you know that there is a demand by the co-prosecutors that a weekly or monthly safety checks be imposed regarding your mother's compliance with the conditions imposed by the court, namely the requirement of informing the court of the residence. Would it be a practical problem for you and for your mother and you to endure such checks?
Response. Perhaps it cannot be done, as I already indicated that my mother is mentally challenged. This morning we were late when we left home because sometimes she did not want to leave home, and it proves to be quite challenging to meet her. And at the same time, since I have other commitments, I do not remain with her all the times, and she is cared by some of her grandchildren. So I can see that it is quite challenging for such a thing to be conducted.
Thank you.
The President, thank you, Madam Guardian. You may be seated. Next, the Chamber wishes to ask whether counsel for the accused person or the prosecutors would like to have any words or any remarks concerning the responses by the General Guardian just now. The President, Co-Prosecutor, you may proceed first.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're happy to provide or make brief submissions based on the additional information that we've heard. And perhaps as part of that, we can deal with some of the other issues that have arisen in our friends' submissions. We're happy to do that if it's going to be of assistance, but we're in your hands.
Mr. President, could I then intervene at this stage, because we would invite your honours to look a little more closely, perhaps, at the answers you've been given. It might, we respectfully suggest, be helpful, as you've got Yang Vishida here, to ascertain from her whether the content of the answers given by the respondent were indeed accurate and reliable. We know from one of the answers given by Yang Vishida that it is not accurate, that there is any friend, professor or otherwise, out of the country involved in her life. As you will know from the content of the reports you've read, there is a well-known condition which causes people who have gaps in their knowledge and memory to confabulate, and that was well documented by Professor Campbell. It would be, in our submission, wholly wrong, not least if you are seeking to rely on answers to these many questions you've posed, firstly from her, to establish the accuracy of the content. And we would respectfully invite the court to also ascertain from Yang Vishida whether her mother is aware of relationships, whether she is aware that she has come to court, whether she is aware that there are proceedings still against her. Because if you are to evaluate the answers you're being given to the questions you pose, we submit these are fundamental questions that must inform the view that you take. So we invite matters of that nature to be further pursued by the bench at this stage.
Your Honours, with your leave, if I can respond briefly to that application. We respectfully disagree with my learned friend. Your Honours are perfectly capable of assessing Ying Terit's ability to communicate with you, to understand the questions and to respond. You're perfectly capable of assessing the degree to which she understands facts being communicated to her and to which she's able to respond. It would be inappropriate in our submission to now require her daughter to testify effectively on the accuracy of her responses. You've heard from both Madam Ying Terith, you've heard from her and from her daughter, and we think the matter can rest here. I would recall that our submissions have not been that Ying Terith is fit to stand trial. Our submissions are that she understands instructions and is able to communicate, perhaps with some assistance. And on that issue, we're prepared to make further submissions. But it is our strong position that you don't need to enter into further inquiries as to the accuracy of every response she gave you.
The President, the Supreme Court chamber notes that questions should not be put to the General Guardian, and this because the chamber just wishes to know a few things, and the accused person already stated about her relationship with her friends, and also the General Guardian stated about how this went about, and the chamber will take this into consideration. And if the accused person, Mrs. Ying Thirit, wishes to say a few words, she may do so. She will be allocated 10 minutes for this purpose.
So
The President. Madam Evidentiary, you may proceed if you wish to say a few words. Mrs. Evidentiary, who is the accused really? The President, please be reminded that Madam Evidentiary, you have the floor now. The Chamber wishes to know whether you wish to say a few words at this conclusion of the proceeding. If you wish to do so, you may proceed. Response, I'm not fully informed of this. The President, the Chamber takes that you do not get the point, and as the guardian, Mrs. Evidentiary, if you wish to say a few words on behalf of your mother, you may do so now. Madam Evidentiary, thank you very much indeed, Mr. President and Your Honors. I do not have much to say at this time. I just wish to indicate that my mother is in the state of dementia and she cannot remember anything at all. Sometimes she would address her children as brothers or sisters, and that she has tried, or she has been strongly convinced before she could come to the court, and we know that her physical fitness is also at a very weak state. As her daughter, I am doing my best to make sure that she can deal with this. And I thank you, the President and Your Honors, for coordinating and helping to ensure that my mother can attend the proceedings today and allow her to also retire to a holding cell when she feels needed. And with that, I thank you very much indeed, and I have no more to say. The President. Finally, the Supreme Court Chamber wishes to inform the parties to the proceeding that the ruling on this will be made in due course in writing. The Supreme Court Chamber wishes to announce the hearing closed. The hearing is adjourned. Indeed.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ